For 40 years, my father's gold watch sat in a drawer. It was wound, it was working, but it was stopped at 3:47. I never asked why. Then my mother told me the truth, and I couldn't breathe. It wasn't a special drawer, just the bottom one in his dresser, the one that never opened smoothly. The one filled with old shoelaces, broken glasses, and a yellowed stack of receipts. But underneath all of it, wrapped in a faded cloth handkerchief, the kind my grandfather used to carry, was a gold watch. I found it the afternoon we were clearing out my father's house. The week after he died, I lifted it out carefully, expecting dust. There was none. The watch was clean, polished, loved. "Why is this in a drawer?" I asked my sister. She shrugged. Nobody knew the answer. Nobody had ever asked. That was the moment my fingers touched the crown, and I realized it was wound. You see, my father was not a jewelry man. He wore a cheap digital watch his whole working life. When I asked him once why he never wore the gold one, he laughed and said, "That's not for every day. That's for something better." Something better never came. My father was a machinist. 31 years at the same factory. He started at 19 with calloused hands and left with calloused hands and a pension that barely covered the heat. But this watch, this was a proper watch. Heavy, real gold, likely. An inscription on the back, worn almost smooth by decades of thumbs, read, "To RJ, your best is yet to come." His mother, my grandmother, who died when I was 3. I turned the watch over. The hand stood perfectly still at 3:47. I wound it. It ticked back to life like it had been waiting for me, which in a way it had. "Mom," I said that evening, the watch still in my pocket, warm against my leg like a heartbeat. "Dad's gold watch." The one in the drawer. My mother, 74, dried her hands on her apron without turning around. "What about it? Why did he keep it in a drawer? Why did he never wear it?" The silence that followed was the kind that has weight, the kind that arrives before a truth you didn't know you were about to receive. She turned. Her eyes were tired, the tiredness of 48 years of loving a man who carried things alone. "Because," she said slowly, "it stopped the day he needed it most, and he never had the heart to wind it again." I looked at her blankly. "What do you mean it stopped?" "I wound it this afternoon." "It's running fine." My mother shook her head. "No, not the mechanism, sweetheart, him." "November 1987, she said, and the year itself sounded like a scar. My father had been at the factory for 15 years. He wasn't just an employee. He was the one the young guys came to for advice, the one the foreman trusted, the one who never called in sick, never complained, never said no, until the new plant manager arrived, a man 20 years younger with a spreadsheet and no memory of my father's loyalty. Cutbacks, they called it. Restructuring. Corporate words for a very human act. My father, 52 years old, was walked out in a 15-minute meeting with a box for his things and a handshake that felt like a dismissal. "He didn't tell me at the door," my mother said. "He didn't tell me that night." "He told you when?" I asked, a pause. Then quietly, "He never did." "For 2 years," my mother said, and her voice cracked like old wood. "Your father got up at 5:40 every morning. Same routine, same shirt, same packed lunch, same wave at the door as he went to work. But he had no job. No. Where did he go?" "That's the part I can't forgive myself for," she whispered. I didn't know then. I thought the pension money was covering it. I asked no questions. He said he had business. And I let him have his business. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. He drove to the parking lot of the factory. Our factory. His factory. And parked in the same spot he'd parked in for 15 years. At 3:47 every afternoon, he watched the third shift gate open. He watched his co-workers pour out. He watched men he'd trained clap each other on the back and head home to wives who didn't know how lucky they were. And And then he drove home and told me the day was fine. Your grandmother gave him that watch the year you were born, my mother said. He wore it to the factory on the day, just the one day. He said it was a good luck watch, a symbol. Your best is yet to come, his mother had told him, and he believed her. The day of the meeting, I said, understanding too late. The day they fired him, he wore it. He walked into that 15-minute meeting wearing the watch his dying mother gave him. The watch that promised his best was yet to come. And he walked out with a box and nothing left to come. The watch stopped at 3:47, I said, but he was winding it. All these years, it was ticking in the drawer. Yes, she said. 40 years, he wound it every Sunday morning. I'd catch him sometimes, sitting at the kitchen table in his undershirt, watching the second-hand sweep. He never said a word. He never wore it. He just kept it alive. Keep it alive. Keep moving. Keep pretending, not to the world, but to himself, that the best was still yet to come. I sat on the floor of her kitchen that night, the watch in my palm, and I did the math. For 40 years, 14,600 days, my father had wound a watch he never wore, in a drawer he never opened in front of anyone, hiding a shame he never once admitted to the woman who loved him, and no one had ever asked. Not my mother, not my sister, not me. I remembered suddenly the last morning of his life, a Tuesday. Nothing special about it. He was 86, his mind beginning to slip. He'd been forgetting little things. His keys, my sister's phone number, the name of the dog he'd loved for 11 years. Mom, he'd said that morning, out of nowhere, with that clear-eyed look he only got at dawn. I wasted a lot of your time. Don't be silly, she said. You gave me everything. No, he said. I wasted it. All those years, all those afternoons. I should have told you. I was so ashamed of losing my job that I lost myself instead. She held his hand and didn't let go. Honey, she said, you never lost me. That's the only job that ever mattered. He was gone by midnight. He died holding her hand, with the gold watch still in the drawer. That night, I sat in my own kitchen, my children grown and asleep in their own homes, my husband watching television 2 rooms away, and I thought about the arithmetic of protection. My father protected us from his shame. My mother protected him from her questions. I protected myself from the uncomfortable truth that my father was a man, not a monument. A man who failed, who hid, who carried, who loved. And I thought, how many people in my life are winding a watch right now? The friend who says I'm fine after her 3rd missed call? The brother whose jokes get louder as his marriage gets quieter? The husband 2 rooms away who hasn't told me the thing he's ashamed of because he thinks love means never being a burden? We think hiding our struggle is generosity. We're wrong. It's theft. We steal from the people who love us the chance to love us. The next morning I did 3 things. First, I took the gold watch to a jeweler. I had it cleaned, serviced, and fitted with a new strap. Second, I put it on. I still wear it today. The only gold I own, my father's hand on my wrist, ticking at 3:47 forever in spirit, though the hands move properly now. Third, I called my brother. We hadn't spoken properly in months. Not a fight. Just the slow drifting that happens when everyone assumes someone else will make the call first. Hey, I said, you busy? Never too busy for you, he said. And I realized I'd been winding that phone in a drawer for a year. Then I called my friend Dana, who has been fine for 6 months, and I asked her the question my mother never asked my father. What's actually going on? She cried for 20 minutes. Then she talked for an hour. Then she said, thank you for asking. I thought everyone knew and nobody cared. Nobody knew. That's the point. The people who love you are hiding their battles to protect you. And the only way in is to ask. My father's watch stopped at 3:47 the day he lost his job. But it didn't stop him. For 40 years, he wound it every Sunday, his silent prayer that his best was yet to come. Here is the truth I want you to carry. You are never learning something new about the people you love. You are only learning how little you asked. The man beside you right now, the spouse, the parent, the friend who says, "I'm good," a little too fast, is carrying something. The person who never calls for help is the one who needs it most. Before it's too late, call the person who would never admit they're struggling, not, "Are you okay?" Because they'll say yes. Ask, "What's actually going on?" The watch asked nothing for 40 years. Don't be the watch. Your best is yet to come. But not while you're hiding in a drawer. Wind yourself. Tell someone. Ask someone. It's 3:47 somewhere. And somebody you love is still waiting for you to ask.